So, I don't know, 375 episodes later, my sister is actually allowing me to open an episode.
Oh.
So, hello, Ilana. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I love it.
We are so excited. I originally wanted you on to talk about more of the mom stuff and the kid stuff. And then Mady hopped in on the text and was like, yeah, we also got to cover like 5 other things.
Well, the thing is, I'm not a mom. So, like, what do I have? Then I can't contribute to this conversation.
This is educating you on how to feed baby Lily when you eventually watch her by yourself.
How to feed her?
Yes, how to feed her.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of sugar going around. You know what I mean? A lot of sugar from the family.
I see. Okay, well.
It's good that you're being proactive.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes. We could start here. My husband and I are very conscious of the food that we're feeding our baby girl because, you know, I think it's so easy.
All the reasons.
And it's so easy for our society just to hand the sugar. And I was realizing that there's also like a generational thing that gets passed down. So our family immigrated from Egypt, and our grandma on Shabbat would just always more. Finish the plate, the plate.
Oh, the overeating.
But it was probably real food. It was probably like spiced like rice and chicken and stuff like that.
Was.
I feel the same way. My grandparents, like my comfort food for my grandparents was like really great soups and stews and things like that. And now grandparents default so easily to sweets just because you've seen like over the last 50, 70 years, everything's driven to more sugar and refined carbohydrates. But like, it doesn't have to be that way. Comfort food from grandparents doesn't even have to be sugar. It could be like, I have all these Persians and Moroccans in my kids' class. These kids eat the craziest foods. Like they're eating like spicy olives, like as a snack. And it's amazing just because culturally that is their comfort food. So it is really smart at 1 year old, the baby, to start defining what comfort food could look like.
And not just comfort food, but I know this is probably a little bit sophisticated for a 16-month-year-old, but I find myself sometimes doing what my grandma or my parents did. Finish the food on your plate, which is beautiful, but it's also like I want her to
be intuitive.
What do you think about this?
Oh, okay. It's very, it's, I get it. Like I hear from clients all the time that is a complex that they were given from their parents and they wish they didn't have, yada, yada. It's funny. I always finish my plate and no one had to tell me. So,
I did too, girl. I don't know what you're talking about, but I always finish my
with
food.
my kids to this day, I am a little bit of a food pusher for the nutrients that matter, okay? Because protein keeps you full. Protein stabilizes your blood sugar levels. Protein is absolutely critical for kids in their rapid growth and development. It aids in their muscle, their stature, everything. And it really is that key word, though, of keeping them full. And I see if my kids go from a bagel and cream cheese to birthday cake and pizza at a party to fries to the goodie bag of junk or whatever it is, they're literally hungry. Like they're literally still hungry. Like this small body, whatever. And I'm like, there's been so nonstop eating, but you've never been full. Meanwhile, I get them like, digging deep in a piece of steak and broccoli with, protein and fiber. They're good. They're like, it's not on their mind. They're not preoccupied with food. And so I do the food pushing a bit when it comes to protein, because if they leave the table after just eating the pasta and even like the baby carrots and hummus, and I am queen veggie and love that. But like, if they don't get that chicken, that salmon, that steak, they are hungry right after. And no one has time for that. Like it's annoying, it's aggravating, it's not only for nutrition. Like I always tell people, obviously I'm a dietitian, obviously I care, but it's annoying. Like I actually find if they don't eat protein, they're constantly nagging for you to get back in the kitchen, make them something else. And it's much better for them. So I do make sure they finish their protein, or at least get, like, if they're 5 years old, I need 5 good bites. I need 6 good bites. I need the good bites of that.
We need to talk about overeating.
Yeah. I'll just back. And I am okay if that carries with them for life. I always think, like, the things I'm telling them now, how are they going to think about this when they're older, when they're in therapy? You know what I mean? Like, okay, they'll be telling someone like, yes, my parents always made sure I had protein at every meal. That is a great life skill,
Yeah, because as you were saying this, I was like, wait a minute. This is stuff I need to know, because I'm trying to get more protein into my meals.
That is something you should know. That's something you should know at 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 70. So that's what I try to do with my kids, is I really think, like, down the line, how helpful is this? And is it, almond mom energy, or is this really like life skill nutrition energy that people need?
That's really the basis of it. It's always like, I find that the best advice for your kids is the advice that you need. So like a lot of communication skills, like how do you want to be spoken to like an adult?
Yeah.
You want to be seen, validated, and heard, and then you can, comfort the nervous system and then address the issue versus like yelling when there's an emotional response. It's very similar to that. Like I'm working on that right now. I'm working on having more protein because I'm fucking sick and tired of the afternoon slump or not eating properly for my energy levels, like all the same thing. It's technically the exact same for the baby. And now I'm realizing she's going up to the fucking refrigerator, to the refrigerator. And I'm like, girl, you just ate. What's going on? Protein. See? Protein.
Yeah. Okay, but I need to talk. I eat a shit ton of protein, okay? But my issue.
Oh, get ready for this, Ilana.
I'm so ready.
I have a lot of issues.
Full-time session.
So I've been a bloated girly. I've been tested for every single intolerance. I have absolutely nothing wrong with my body. Mm-hmm. I just am Jewish, maybe, is what it is.
I know what it is.
What is it? Overeating.
Overeating.
Okay, so that's the thing. It's probably overeating. Now,
so I have a different take on that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was gonna say, is because I know that in your content you believe that if you are a volume eater, that's fine. If you're eating the right type of foods, it makes sense. I still find that, though, if I overeat, no matter what I eat, like I definitely cannot eat cruciferous vegetables. It fucks me up.
I have a really good product for you.
Oh my God, please. Because I really struggle with vegetables because I did Whole30, but then I also did low FODMAP because I noticed, I heard that was like better for bloating. Was not helpful. Like I basically, on low FODMAP, like all you can really eat is sweet potato, eggplant, and butternut squash, which is literally what I ate for an entire month on Whole30 because I couldn't eat salad. I couldn't eat raw vegetables or anything. So that's where I struggle.
Some people have an issue with eggplant. I love definitely don't. And I find it to be a very anti-inflammatory food. But
right.
So I had some arthritis patients in the past who got sensitive to eggplant and found that to be a flare-up.
That's so
Not
crazy.
that that was the cause. I love eggplant. No one listening should.
I got a histamine reaction from eggplant. It breaks my skin out.
Right. Some people have like a little itchiness, but I doubt that was the bloating. I mean, this is so nothing against you. Okay. It's like the word bloat is an instant viral hook. Like you start with bloat and everyone says they're bloated. It's 100% thing. And I'm not saying this against you. I also just have found that like some women really confuse also weight gain with bloat. Like some people like they always feel bloated. I'm like, have you put on like 5-10 pounds and aren't aware of it? And like so that's just one thing. But if you definitely tailor it and notice it, it's like after meals. Yeah. One is, and I'll go back and do more and answer this. But one is I do love digestive enzymes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with this one company, Hum, and they have...
Yeah, that's what I use. I use the extra strength.
Oh, I didn't even know they had an extra strength.
I was like, I need to kick it up. So
I
take that before every time.
I love vegetables, and I just am like, honey, clear the room. I had so much broccoli, like whatever it is going to be. Like it's never stopped me.
Okay.
But ever since taking that, I really find that works and helps.
It does
for the cruciferous vegetables.
I don't even touch cruciferous.
You don't even touch them.
I can't.
You also weren't bloated a lot in January, and then when one day you were at Dad's, and of course we overate, and you felt that pain.
And what did you feel like you overate?
I was eating still like Whole30 stuff. So I think we had like olives and.
So you haven't identified that.
And raw carrots. That was something I was eating. Raw foods was
and
like.
Olives, maybe the salt.
Something. And I think I just ate too much.
Too quickly, didn't chew enough.
Maybe, yeah. So that's why it's like the volume.
Have you tried like the peppermint tea or ginger tea, anything like that?
The warm water with lemon, It's
going slower.
It's interesting. I don't know.
I really
There's
think
definitely
it's like chewing, like the taking your time.
Yeah.
There's definitely a list of veggies that don't bloat. Like I work with a lot of really beautiful trainers who are, I won't call her out even though she probably wouldn't mind, but she's like just constantly on Instagram doing, thirst trappy type of content, but showing off her insanely flat abs. And like, that's, her brand is like just kind of showing her amazing body. But she has like this tiny little window of vegetables she eats just because she's so particular with bloat. So she loves spinach. She swears by spinach. She'll eat like buckets of spinach, sauteed spinach, like all that stuff. She won't touch broccoli. I love broccoli. It makes me so sad.
I love it too.
When she talks like this, it makes me so sad. But she always says like cucumber and spinach and soft cooked carrots are definitely her go-tos. I really think that it is also a supply and demand thing. You know, the more you get your body used to these things, the more it can tolerate them. So there's inherent bloat that might exist for anyone when they eat a whole head of raw cauliflower like I can do and I'm happy to do. But, you know, definitely like go slow, get an iceberg lettuce salad and just do a sprinkle of kale in there. So you're still getting the benefits of the dark greens, but it's not as big of a thing. Definitely recommend drinking water. Water first, veggies most is my trademark, my favorite slogan. But water first, like 30 minutes before the meal, let it come in.
What about drinking
it helps
water
with portion
during?
control? Definitely don't believe that myth on diluting that acids. People say like it dilutes your stomach acid or whatever. People say don't drink water during meals. Like there's literally no proof to that.
Okay, cool. It's good to know. What about?
But I do still recommend 30 minutes. But within 30 minutes before a meal, have 16 ounces of water first. That will help with digestion and portion control. So it's actually been clinically shown to help reduce the amount people eat at meals without having to focus on eating less. So that's why always water first, 16 ounces of water first before all your meals. Okay.
And then coffee. So I know not to drink it on an empty stomach. I always have something in my stomach before I drink it.
Does that affect you?
I've heard that it
could be acidic.
Yeah. That it's when I have coffee on an empty stomach.
No one should have coffee without having 16 ounces of water first. So.
Water. I drink, I'll do water for sure and then coffee, but then I'll have like a banana and almond butter just to have something. And that is fine. But then when I have like a second cup without on an empty stomach, I do feel like a bloating effect for hours after. Have you ever heard anything about that?
Coffee is really interesting. I stayed on a coffee plantation in Costa Rica, and I was like bloat. This is years ago, but I learned so much about the coffee industry. It's one of the most sprayed crops, like in terms of pesticides. It could be related to that. It's really
type
interesting.
Of coffee.
Yeah, the type of coffee. Like I would try an organic coffee, see if it's different because it happens to be sprayed less. It's really interesting because I have this like beautiful French mother who is in my school, and she's just so classy. Like she just looks so put together and classy all the time. She said she was living in France, Paris, as she says. She was living in Paris for so many years. She comes to America. She's like, I can't tolerate anything. Yeah. And you always see those TikToks of people who say like they could eat pasta in Italy, but they can't eat pasta in America. But she says she can't even eat vegetables here. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I cannot eat a salad in America. And this like blew my mind. This was just last week at a school event. She's like, I can't eat a salad here. It's so crazy. I could eat anything. I never had a food issue once. And she's like, I can't eat a raw salad. She's like, I think it's just how it's grown, the crops, the pesticides. I don't know what it is. I recommend she try organic or even hydroponic or homegrown, like, you know, try to work around it so she still gets her veggies. She can cook them, but she has a hard time eating salad. So I wonder if that might be related. Like there's an underlying
quality.
intolerance.
Yeah.
Did you do patch testing?
No, what is that?
Patch testing is really cool. I think it's more a topical allergen test than internal.
Okay.
But it would be interesting to see. They basically, a dermatologist will do like patch testing. She gives you like, kind of rubs your back with all different types of histamines and things like that.
Oh, that's what I need
I got a snippet of my hair chopped off, and then I had to poop in a cup.
And nothing came out.
I had like a little bit of SIBO, and then I took stuff for that and didn't do anything.
Maybe it's not cleared.
Maybe not.
That's okay. So
they do fecal transplants to overcome that. Sounds really gross. Like literally fecal
Yeah,
like they
I've
literally
heard of this.
transplant.
Yeah,
different.
They'll put someone else's poop in your butt
for what?
To help it like
to help
grow
clear
back.
the area.
Bacterial overgrowth.
What are you guys talking about?
Yeah,
I mean, put it up your butt.
I think
I don't know the exact process, but I've had a lot of SIBO patients.
My husband's talked to me about this. Yeah, you should ask Adam because he knows a little bit about it.
Oh, okay.
This is desperate measures.
This is okay. Let's we can try SIBO one more time.
So first I want to ask like kind of an emotional question because I want this conversation to be as least triggering as possible for women.
Oh, it's so funny. I once did a podcast and they did a trigger warning before it.
Really? Well, because I don't think
and I wasn't expecting that. I only heard it when I listened afterwards.
But I don't think there's anything triggering about the words weight loss. However, in the zeitgeist and the cultural narrative, for a couple years, it was like not what you should say, et cetera, et cetera. And I have found that, you know, like when I gave birth to my baby, I was pretty unapologetic about like, yeah, no, I want to get my body back. And people were like, oh, go easy on yourself. I was like, no, bitch, I want to fucking feel good. And that's it. Like, I just want to feel good. And I feel as if it's about time that women take that phrase back, not as a weapon against us, but as a means to feel our best. Because when done properly and when done in a healthy way, it can radically transform your life.
Oh my gosh. So I'm like the most unapologetic person about this. No one's ever going to question it. Just to give my background for anyone who doesn't know, but I was morbidly obese as a kid. So as early as I can remember, I was by far the biggest kid in the class. I can't do anything my daughter does. She like does cartwheels. Like I was so embarrassed and mortified. I would think I went to one ballet class and I was like bursting out of that leotard and the girls were teasing me and I just like ran out. And so my whole childhood was consumed with being obese. It held me back from wanting to learn how to ride a bike, ever do a basketball practice, like everything. It made me so insecure and uncomfortable in my body. Even though I was outgoing and popular and had a lot of friends, it was like this internal weight physically and emotionally that I was just bearing. And at 8 years old, my doctor at a doctor visit saw that I was way off the charts and like at high risk for all sorts of issues. And she sent me to fat camp. Like she sent me to weight loss camp. And at 8 years old, which is crazy because my daughter's 9 now and now she's going to sleepaway camp a year older. She's going for like a few weeks. I went for 9 weeks. Like I went for over 2 months at 8 years old. It blows my mind now having my own kids, like how big of a like, whoa, that is. But it was desperate times call for desperate measures. Like I was so unhealthy. And so my parents and doctor sent me to fat camp for 9 weeks. And a lot of the kids cried the whole time. And, you know, there are always those stories of the kids trying to escape or sneak in candy. But for me, it was almost like too young to even feel like it was, I didn't look at it as a punishment. I love color war. I love singing. And also it felt like a very safe space for me because all these kids shared my insecurity. For the first time, I was able to share a shirt with a friend on a sleepover. Normally I like had backups because if something happened, my friends' clothes would never fit. I would have to get their dad's sweatshirt. It was like so embarrassing. So I looked at it as a safe space. I loved it. I lost like 30 pounds that summer. I came home, got a million compliments. Of course, I gained all the weight back, but it was just a very positive association with weight loss as an 8-year-old kid. I had sessions with a dietitian 3 times a week, every summer. So then I like begged my parents to go back. Like I gained all the weight back, of course, like let me go back. And then I did that over and over and over again, like lose weight in camp and gain it all back and more. So it was a horrible dieting, like yo-yo pattern that I was practicing earlier than I could even remember. And so then I had to figure out my own way on how to lose weight in a more sustainable fashion. But it was undeniable to me that at an early age, weight loss is a very positive thing. And it completely changed my life. And it didn't just change my life now once and for all, but it changed my life in a big way year after year after year since I'm 8 years old. It allowed me to like have a fun shopping trip with my parents every, September. And just, I loved it. I always felt healthier, more energetic, more confident. Like, it's only a good thing when done in the right way. So, yeah, you're definitely.
How refreshing is it to hear that? Because
I mean, that's why people love to do my program and read my book because there's zero. It doesn't. I'm like there's nothing. There's no negativity involved. Like if you're carrying extra weight, it puts pressure on your joints, on your everything. It makes everything more exhausting.
I mean, I can tell you when I lost the rest of my baby weight, I felt so good. And to think of potentially, I think society went in a way of, body image, love your body, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But
it's not for anyone else.
It's not for everybody. Oh, yeah, exactly. But also like that narrative could have kept me not making the right choices for my body.
Right.
And when I lost that weight, oh my
Yeah.
God, do I feel fucking good.
Oh my
I
gosh,
feel more
yeah.
energy. I feel better in my clothes. I feel really good about the foods that I eat. I have a
Yeah.
confidence about myself now. And I love that you have such a beautiful association with it, because I think that is a side of the coin that doesn't necessarily exist all the time
Right.
in the conversation.
Well, the testimonial people who like do my To Be Mindset weight loss program, they lose weight with my book, You Can Drop It. Like it's both. They say, I lost so much weight and I improved my relationship with food. When it's both,
Yes.
it's magic. So like when you're losing weight without deprivation, without counting calories, like when you do it in my method, it's really positive. There is not one negative word throughout my entire weight loss program. Everything is more focused on what you should do and could do and can do and what more you should add, have water first before the meals. It's never like, you'll never hear me say no sugar or no oil, because I don't live by that. It's you eat carbs, you eat them in a smart way, you feel empowered. So it's a really positive space.
Yeah.
And when you have that healthy relationship with food, that really helps you foster a healthier relationship with yourself, with your spouse, with everyone. So there's really no negative.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm just having a moment where I'm like, wow, I lost the baby weight, which wasn't that much, granted. And I actually have, in the process of doing that, I actually have the best relationship to food I've ever had in my whole life. I don't feel like it controls me. I don't feel like my cravings control me. I don't feel guilty if I have whatever that's quote unquote you're not supposed to have. I like check in every week. I'm like, I went a little too hard, and I feel it in my body. I'm gonna eat a little. Like it's an ebb and flow for me, and it feels so good. Can you talk a little bit about food for energy? Because I think as moms, that's really what kickstarted my relationship to food and finding what worked best for my body. Because as you know, when you become a mom, you don't get recovery time. Like no hangovers, don't do it. And I can't eat a fucking pizza at 1 p.m. and feel like a piece of shit at 3 p.m. because I'm so exhausted.
Totally.
I can't do it with a baby crying in my ear. So that's when I was like, oh, I need to be pretty diligent about what I eat. Not for weight loss was one thing, but the
for energy.
primary thing was energy.
Yeah. I mean, I work with CEOs. Like I have private clients who are CEOs just doing big business trips, and they're like, I can't get food poisoning on this trip to Thailand. Like I need to have good energy. Like just tell me what to eat, just prepare, you know what I mean? So 100%, like my whole program, it's not just for weight loss, it's for optimal health. It's for, better mood stability. There's blood sugar control benefits, heart health benefits, and so forth. So I always start, like my weight loss program, my book, it always starts by just giving people kind of like the basics. So I always start, I have 4 core principles, and then I have 4 food groups. I remember in nutrition classes as young as 8 years old in weight loss camp, learning the food guide pyramid, just sponsored by the whole grain industry.
Oh God.
Pushing
Can you believe that shit?
8 to 11 servings of bread a day and pasta a day, which was—
Do you remember that food pyramid?
Absolutely insane. And so forth. And there's just like so many categories, and then fruits and vegetables weren't even on the bottom. They were like up there, whatever. So that's thankfully changed in the world of the USDA and what they recommend. Now they have the plate image, as I do too. I really like a plate image because that's the way we eat. But I really broke it down to 4 food groups. We have 4 food groups, and that's all you need to focus on. So the first is veggies. Veggies are our best food group. We need to be eating them all day. The purpose of eating veggies is they make you full. So if you are hungry, if you like to eat, veggies are high in volume, they're high in nutrition, high in antioxidants, high in fiber, high in water, low in calories. Like that is the bulk of what we should be eating throughout the day. So veggies are a great food group. I love them. They help really add volume to our meals and make us feel full. But protein keeps us full. You could eat all the salads in the world right after you could still feel hungry if you didn't add chicken, salmon, steak, tofu, tempeh, good beans in there. So we definitely always need protein because protein keeps us full. And then we have carbohydrates. So carbohydrates give us energy. That's technically the energy food group because they break down into sugars that we use to burn off for activity. It really is activity though. So brain activity works, but then also physical activity. So we need carbohydrates, but there's the silly carbs that are high in sugar that we eat and enjoy sometimes. And then there's what I call FFCs, fiber-filled carbs, and that gives us really nice sustained energy.
Can you give examples of both?
Please. So silly carbs are, ice cream and cookies and
silly carbs.
Silly carbs, pretzels I like to call stale white bread with better PR. Like, just kind of like, it's silly. It just doesn't do much for you. Not that I don't eat pretzels, but that's it. So those are pizza Those are like low fiber carbs. And then there's the fiber filled, like sweet potato, bananas, oranges, like all the fruits, all the beans, all the quinoas, like that type of stuff. So that is really our energy food group. And then the fourth food group I like to say is like accessories, like fats and sugars, the things that make our veggies and meals taste really delicious. Mayonnaise, bacon, avocado, like those healthy fats and things. So now that you have the food groups, this is how I like to break it down for what to eat in a day. So at the start of the day, most people don't feel so hungry. If you feel hungry, of course, you could add veggies as extra credit. But most people, you just need something that's going to give you energy and keep you full through the morning. So that would be carbs or the energy. You want something that's fiber-filled, carb for energy, and a protein to keep you full or longer.
Give me an example of a carb for the morning, because I'm eating whole wheat toast, and I don't think that's the right thing to do.
That's fine.
Because I'm having a lot of afternoon slumps.
Oh, okay. You could try alternating it for fruit. Like cup of berries. You could do frozen berries because they're cheaper and easier to keep on hand. A banana, orange. It could be oatmeal as your carb. It could be
oatmeal. I love
high
oatmeal.
fiber bread. It could be a sweet potato. In my book, I have like a breakfast sweet potato recipe. So like it definitely just, you want like a good hearty carbohydrate that's going to give you good sustained energy through the morning. So fruit is a great choice. And it's also easy to find when you're traveling internationally and so forth. And then you need a protein. So everyone always asks like what proteins at breakfast, especially if you don't like eggs and dairy.
We don't love eggs.
So I love eggs. I love
Three
cottage
eggs
cheese
too
Greek
much?
yogurt. It depends.
Because I find that if I have a big day, I'll do 3 eggs
And it
just to
keeps you
load
really
up.
full?
Yeah, load up the protein, because I get really hungry in the first half of the day, so I eat like a lot
If
between
that's
breakfast and
working
lunch.
for you, then that's working for you.
Okay, I don't know if it was too much in the cholesterol or whatever they used
I
to
would
say.
check your cholesterol.
Okay.
And
okay.
if it's not high, then
I'm good. Okay.
then you're good if
Got
that's
it.
working for you. Yeah, so that's what you want for best energy. Like the second someone starts with a big stack of pancakes or
Oh
a
my God.
Starbucks run of like their sugary seasonal drink of the moment and one of their cake pops or muffin sugar bombs, like that will slump energy. But when you have something that's like, you know, it could be a protein shake with a banana and a scoop of protein, or I have like a recipe in my book for like these papaya boats that you could put cottage cheese in, or sweet potato with that in, or I love banana egg pancakes, like pancakes that you could do with that, or protein pancakes. Something that has a good carb, a good protein, great energy through the morning.
Our dad did that right. We never had
Eggs and toast.
We only had really good breakfast, except Saturday morning we got challah French toast, and that was the only sweet breakfast
what
we
I had today.
ever had. Right?
Yeah. It was always eggs.
It was
and
always eggs.
Avocado.
toast.
It's so important for kids to start them off on the right day, like in, right way in the morning. That's like the best for everyone. Protein and a good carb. And then for lunch, I always say like lunch is really the most important meal of the day, because if you think about it, it really carries us through the longest in these like really busy hours.
Oh my God, keep going. I'm struggling with lunch, let me tell
lunch
you.
is
It's a
hard.
fucking hit or miss for me.
For lunch, I say we need all food groups on deck, because you really want the half plate veggies. You got to have the half plate veggies there, because it's going to make you feel full. At that point, you're hungry. You want to stay full through the afternoon. So a great salad, roasted vegetables, a good hearty vegetable soup, a stir fry, like gotta have veggies at lunch. Like, and that should be at least half your plate. Then you want to have a quarter of your plate protein, so you stay full. And then you still need a quarter of your plate to be those fiber-filled carbohydrates, so you have sustained energy through the afternoon. So if it's just a salad, you feel hungry right afterwards. If it's a salad with protein, you feel full, but then you get slumped by energy. If you really get all those food groups in, and then you add that healthy fat, good accessory, make it taste delicious with avocado or a good dressing or both, Parmesan,
Rice.
you're good to go.
Rice,
I recommend it.
I eat so much
Is it working for you?
rice.
I've taken out rice completely.
Really?
Yeah.
It works for me at dinner, and I don't think it works for me at lunch. You
Dinner
don't eat
I
rice?
can't. No, again with the eating too much thing.
Yeah.
Dinner, I have
Rice is very easy to overeat.
Yes, and so I can't eat past like 6 p.m.
Yeah.
because I am
Better for your digestion.
so full and bloated. I'm sorry the word, but like it's just funny because everything you're saying, and I agree. it's hard because I'm doing all these things and I'm still feeling.
All right, we'll have to have a private
We're gonna have
session
to have a
because
private session.
I
We're
know
gonna
for a
have a private
fact
session.
there's something I could do to
There's
help you.
something.
It's just
Yeah.
it would be ideal
Yeah.
if you just kept a
down.
quick little food journal,
Yeah.
2-3 days, wrote when you're feeling bloated or what meals felt good. I could figure it
Right.
out in 3 seconds.
Okay, good. Okay,
Also,
wait, so keep
something
going
that's
with
coming
lunch.
through, I don't know if this is meant for you right now, Mads, but also I think that, like, on a mindset perspective,
Yeah.
you deserve to feel good.
Yeah.
With
No,
the
I
foods that
know.
you eat. And I just feel like that maybe, like, I don't know. I'm like, maybe we should anchor into that because it's so hard for you and you've done so many things. And
I'm gonna help you.
I feel a frustration, but it's so possible. We just have to figure it out. And like the quest of figuring out is worth it because you deserve to
Totally.
feel really good.
Yeah, I know. And I want to talk
And the
about
quest
mindset.
can feel like forever. And
Yeah.
then once you're on the other side of it, you're
Yeah.
like, it was a blip that changed my whole life. you know?
Yeah, totally.
But it could be that, like, for me personally, I've always had a very slow metabolism. Like since, again, like it's very hard to become morbidly obese when you're
Right.
that age. I'm
Right.
the same way, the same metabolism. So I digest carbohydrates very slowly. So if I had a ton of rice at night, like I would feel extremely full. Like it would just
Right.
sit with me for so
Right,
long.
right.
Just because it's just slower to break it down.
Yeah.
So I think like kind of like discovering the best foods for you in that space is
Yeah.
going to be very helpful.
Okay. I want to talk about eating out because so for my job, I review restaurants in Los Angeles. So that is my job, to eat out. And I have struggled with trying to cure my body of this because there is a job element to this where I need to go out and eat. So what are tips? And it doesn't have to be your job to be a content creator and that you're going out to eat. But people like to go to restaurants and people like to socialize with friends.
Are your videos like, do they require like ordering almost everything on the table and tasting it?
I don't need to order everything on the menu, but most times I'll go and order like whatever they recommend is like the top dishes, just so that I can.
And it's typically like a mountain of the.
Well, it's typically a pasta or a pizza or whatever, and obviously it's probably cooked in crazy whatever.
I mean, like the advice I'd give you is very different from everyone else. I mean, everyone else, I would just tell them how to order better.
Right.
And probably, find like the good protein on the menu, the branzino, even like the petite steak, the roasted chicken, get double order of veggies on the side, like the broccolini or the spinach and stuff like that. So it's very different than what I'm going to tell you. So that's just for everyone else. I have tons of restaurant tips within my To Be Mindset, program. But for you, I would say, this sounds kind of crazy, but I would probably give you the same advice that like I would take for myself or someone else if I was going to like a cocktail party and I knew the cocktail party was going to have like passed around cheeses and bread, like, crackers, like things like that, that I'd want to have bites of, but I wouldn't want to get full from. And in that situation, it sounds wild because you're going to a restaurant and it's free, but I would probably eat some veggies in advance. Like if you know you can tolerate green beans well, then and air frying them or steaming them, or like I like to boil them with a little olive oil and salt so they get like a little like soft and buttery tasting. So like if you have like 2 cups of green beans before, you know that you had the veggies that you can tolerate, that you digest well, and you got full off good thing. That way when you go to your restaurant review, you're always going to find protein because I'm sure they're going to want you to try like a steak or something like that. So you'll have a few bites of that for the protein, and that way you can get to that like nibbling, trying, tasting place with that decadent stuff. So you're not going in and in and in. Because if you don't have if you don't pregame with the veggies in that situation.
Pregame with the veggies.
I love to pregame with veggies. But if you don't in that situation, you're going to end up eating way too much because you're going to end up getting there hungry.
Absolutely. And I think that's definitely something
that's a great tip.
Because I don't want to eat too much because I don't want to be like dying in the restaurant.
But if you go hungry, you're gonna have to eat enough to feel that sense of fullness. So like right now, if you get there at a 0, like 0 out of 10, 0 being starving and 10 being stuffed. If you get there at a 0, think about the stuff that's gonna get you to even like a 7 or an 8. It's gonna be pasta and cheese and oil and the bread and the butter and
you're gonna crave
fried
that stuff.
appetizer and all that stuff.
I mean, I think of
they're not gonna want you to try their steamed asparagus.
like, guys, go to this restaurant.
It's not going to be good for content. So I would definitely make sure that like you're going more at like a 4 or 5.
Okay.
At least a 4. with lots of water, some like veggie that you can tolerate well,
and I've reduced,
get to like a 6, 7, 8 by just tasting.
Right, I agree, and I've reduced a lot. Like I used to go out maybe 3-4 times a week, and now it's like maybe once or twice on the weekend. And I'm really, really diligent during the week just to be like full. I basically do like Whole30 the whole week. And then in preparation, but
that's probably what like Dave Portnoy does too. Everyone's like, "Why does he eat so much pizza?" I'm like,
I mean, look at like Padma Lakshmi, like she's just they're just tasting. That's
okay.
The
So
thing.
I always had a hard time with this because I'm not the like petite little taster type, as like people
same.
know. Like I like
yeah.
to eat, so I was at a hard time. Like, how are these women going to these weddings and like just refreshing their lipstick every second and not eating anything at the smorgasbord, at the buffet, whatever it is. And then I realized like they're all pre-gaming. I asked them.
It's true. Yeah.
I asked them. They're having like a protein shake on their way to the wedding, so they don't have to eat.
We know someone that does that. Someone in our family. She'll eat if she knows she's going to
like
a wedding or something that she can't like order, right? She doesn't have control over what she orders. She will eat beforehand so that she's fuller, and then when she gets there, she can
be more picky.
She can be more picky and
That's
discerning.
really good.
Yeah, it's like one of those like slim girl secrets that nobody talks about. So I always have to. I'm like, I don't gatekeep. That's why I share everything so enthusiastically.
Okay, I want to talk about mindsets though, because we kind of touched on it, but I think a lot of things with food are emotional, it's mental, and we think it's physical. It is, but it is so much mental and willpower.
I have the obese gene 100%, but my mindset was in the wrong place 1,000%.
Right. So what are some like of your top mindset shifts or like that you see over and over again that people need to make?
Yeah. So I mean, there's so much, like it goes so deep, and I discovered it really young. I discovered it at like 13 or so, because at that point I had all the dietitian classes. I met with so many nutritionists. I did all the things. I tried all the diets. My parents did all the diets and were failing. Like I was so overwhelmed with nutrition advice already at that age, that many years ago. And I realized, like in my house, we were obsessed with food. When we go to a wedding, all we talk about is who's the caterer. When we go to a birthday party, like get me the pizza and the cake as fast as possible. Like my whole mind was obsessed with food. It was like my biggest enemy and best friend at the same time, like frenemy, I guess. And I realized that when I went to my friend's house, who's a healthy minded, and really making friends in high school and who are like healthier families, changed my whole life. Because then I realized these families never talked about food. They would have dinners and everyone would eat dinner, but like they would be talking about their day or anything else. And like food was it just wasn't a thing. It was eaten, but it wasn't a preoccupation. And when they went to weddings, they would talk about who's the florist, who's the band, who's getting married. And I'd be like, what? Like, what is happening? And I realized it really is that mindset shift. And the moms would exercise because that's what they did, not because they were on a diet, everything that way. And so I really became obsessed with like, how can I just take on this mind space that these people are having effortlessly? I'd say like there are a lot of ways to lose weight. People can lose weight with a million different formulas these days. But my whole goal is to feel effortless. And then like my whole program, like the more effort you put in, the more effortless it becomes, because that's what you want. You don't want to be counting calories on a beach when you're 86, So I realized it was a lot of that ease, and a lot of what I was telling myself was constantly causing friction. Like I would just always tell myself, I'm fat, right? So that word, that phrase in and of itself is inherently toxic, right? Because what happens is I realized I was self-sabotaging, because let's say there's some bread left on the table. There's one piece left. Everyone's like, who's going to have the last piece? Well, if you're identifying as like, oh, I'm the big one here, I'm going to have the last piece, And so then I realized like, oh, I can lose weight. So there's one piece of bread. Well, I can lose weight, so like I don't have to be the last one to have bread, or type of thing. So definitely changing the mindset and reminding yourself like you can do this. I have a whole my whole book. You can drop it. It's great for weight loss. I have a whole section of old mindset, new mindset, and it's really based on like the word starving. Like I have a whole page on the word starving. I hate that word.
Yeah.
First of all, it's so insensitive.
Yeah, none of us are starving.
None of us are starving. It's really hard because like even in America, like I understand we have food deserts, and that means people don't have access to healthy, fresh food, but that still typically means that you're within a few miles of food, And it's actually interesting because globally, for the first time in history that we have in recorded history, and this has been for a few years now, we actually have more people in the world who are obese than are underweight and starving.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Wow. So we are always like, I can't waste this food, like the starving kids in Africa. But like the truth is, like our issue is, and I always say, like, better in the waste than on your waist, you know, like better in the trash than in your body. Like sometimes we have this mindset of I can't waste food, I can't waste food. But like sometimes it is still wasting if you don't need to eat it, you know, if you're full. And so like all these mindset shifts, you know, like the word starving, when you think you're starving, you think you're panicked, you're rushed, you have to eat the next thing in sight. I realized this with the private client years ago, because he was like, got off the plane, he was like, I was starving, so I got a brownie at the coffee shop right out of the exit. And I was like, when you think you're starving, you think that your life is in jeopardy. And so you make very rash, quick decisions. If you say, I'm hungry, then you say water first. So like you have your water first. And then you think about the time of day. Like I would say water first, veggies most. But let's say it's 7 a.m. in the coffee and, you know, in the airport. When you're hungry, you have water first. And then you're like, okay, I'm hungry. I'm not starving. I have 20 minutes to look for the next thing, which will probably only take 2 to 3 minutes to find a banana, you know, at the next gift shop. Yeah. So it's like all these mindset shifts, you know, feeling like you have to finish the food off your kid's plate, feeling like you have to, everything. I mean, I have a huge list in there on how to get over this stuff.
It's so interesting what you say before we wrap up is that I feel like I healed my relationship to food because food no longer for me, it's a neutral thing in many ways. Like Mads and I grew up, for better or for worse, you know,
it's a celebration. It's a pleasure.
Our Father shows us love by cooking and feeding us. That's what he does. When we had my daughter's first birthday party, he's like, what am I cooking? Our lives culturally have revolved and in our family.
So many cultures
and revolved around food. And
nice.
It's such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. And I had to recognize that way of life was making me, like, when I finished one meal, I'm excited for the next meal. What's my next meal? And obsessed with food, like going to parties and just like eating as much as I can, or, you know, overeating and always going to the wedding and thinking about the food versus the florals. Like that mentality of like food first at all times food was a celebration. It was comfort. It was family. It was love. It was all these things. And I personally had to shift my mindset to food is fuel that makes me feel good. And when I shifted that as like 75% of my food intake, my perspective towards my food intake, it allowed like food to get so neutral that now I look at, if I'm out and I see a Cinnabon or I see a power bar, I'm just going to go to the power bar because I want to feel good afterwards. But it took so long. It's almost like I've been liberated from this control that food had over me on a daily basis. Like the amount that we thought about food and wanted the food.
That's why education is so powerful. That's why, like, you know, I love to do what I do because I love to educate people. Like there's so many diets people follow just blindly, you know, like I'm going to do carnivore, I'm going to do keto. Like because someone else did it and was successful, but why? You know, like why? And then like they'll be like, because it's great for longevity. It's like, look at the nations in the world that people live the longest now with the lowest rates of cancer and heart disease. Like none of them are doing carnivore. Keto. Yeah, none of them are doing keto. They're eating so many fruits and vegetables, in fact. Like, so, you know, knowing the why, understanding the purpose of the food groups, when to eat, for what, like it really is empowering. And, you know, they say like knowledge is power. It's not, it's like, it's power when you use it. Like when you actually... It's also short-term versus long-term thinking. Like maybe you got that with your kid. Like short-term, 100%. Obviously the cinnamon bun is more pleasure, but when you realize like
long-term decisions only. Long-term, it's the only way I've been moving forward in life, and I've not in all areas, and it feels so good. Okay, we ask every woman that comes on OK Sister Podcast this: if you could brag about one thing and you weren't allowed to be humble, what would you brag about?
Oh, that's so cute. And you weren't allowed to be humble. I feel very proud of myself all the time. I like to say like all the time. I'm always like, oh, I'm so proud of myself. I figured that out. And my daughter's like, you're bragging. I'm like, I'm not bragging. I'm being proud of myself. You should always feel proud of yourself when you do hard things. This is like really not related to career, but I'm really proud of myself because this week is like dress up week in my kid's school. And I got this stitchy gun. I don't know if you guys heard of this.
No.
It is... I can't believe I haven't made a TikTok on it. It really has changed my whole life. It makes you a seamstress. It's a gun that you could put stitches in.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
It's literally has changed my life. I feel like I can fix anything.
Like a super mom.
Yeah,
you
super mom.
I need this.
It's really amazing. It's a gun and you can put stitches in everything. My son like ripped, you know, his pants, knee. You literally fix it. So my daughter has this dress up week. completely, as a working mom, it just completely just like hit me over the head. One of her friends messaged her, tomorrow is storybook day. I'm like,
Oh my God.
what?
You're like, what the fuck? My worst nightmare.
And my daughter is like very girly, very picky. It's got to be right. It's got to be perfect. And I just like, between the stitchy gun, I sewed like a cape on her shirt, and then the skirt was too long. And so then I like cut it, and I like put together this unbelievable costume for her with like tape and glue and stitches and whatever. It's like, I was so proud of myself because the last thing on earth I want to do is spend $40 on Amazon for a silly little costume she's going to wear for 1 minute and not care about. So,
okay, I'm going to need all those tips. We're going to give the sisters all of your discount codes to your programs in the intro and the outro. But can you tell everybody where they can find you, your programs, your books, how they can get involved, etc.?
Awesome. Yeah. So if you're a reader or a podcast listener type who likes to listen, I really recommend my book, You Can Drop It If You Need to Lose Weight. Like if you have weight to lose and you like to read or listen, then the Audible or book, my first book is really impactful. I mean, people stop me all over and tell me how much weight they've lost from just that book. Wow. And then for cookbook, my new cookbook is Love the Food That Loves You Back on Amazon. My weight loss program is called the To Be Mindset. It's awesome. And I have a meal delivery service. If you don't want to cook your own meals, we get them sent to you. Everything you need, all these good food groups we just spoke about in delicious forms. So much. I have a houseware line of glasses so you know how to keep your 16 ounces of water first before your meals and how to plate your meals with the right categories in a chic and subtle way. So every solution you need to live like a really just a healthy, effortless life.
And on Instagram, people can
find
you?
And on Instagram, I'm Ilana Muhlstein, RD, and TikTok, Nutrition Babe. Hopefully TikTok is still around.
Nutrition Babe, I love that.
Beautiful. And we'll have the links to literally all of that in the show notes so the sisters can get all the books. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yay.